Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kostas. I work here at Nexmo. I'm actually working on a JavaScript SDK called Stitch. We're going to see part of it. So the talk is about how you can enhance your conversations platform accessibility. So many times we have been working around web projects and we really neglect most of that part, actually, how many people are not able to perceive the experience that we are thinking they do or the experience that we are used to. So actually that's how it came to me when I was doing some online courses on a nano degree, and there was a whole subject about accessibility. And there were so many really options from the web and specs on the web, like the web area roles and all that you can use. And even in frameworks that I would bump into them, I was just ignoring them. And then I saw these videos about the people that actually are trying to access the web, and the way that we build it and ignoring these parts is making it very, very difficult for them. But also, accessibility is a more generic thing about even people that don't have a disability. It's about everyone else that is trying to access your platform. So we are going to integrate two stuff here, two products. The one is a sample platform that we have for conversation and communication in general, with Google Assistant to help us to provide one extra step of accessibility. So we're going to talk about the nexmo-stitch. That's the product that I was referring to. It provides you we provide actually an SDK from Nexmo that it has a JavaScript side, and you can use that to build a whole tool for integrate actually whatever platform you have your users, transfer them into a whole conversation context that you can actually have voice communication, IP messaging and all that stuff. And we are going to work also with Google Assistant to have access, to provide access, like one extra step into that platform for yours. So somebody can use their Google Assistant home, Google Home, and just talk to it and get some context from that conversation. So this interface, we are used to user interfaces, UX, user experience and all that. So one more is now introduced due to those assistants, and it's called voice user interface. So everything we benefit from that, we add it on top of what we are used to already with our platforms and the web tools that we are using and building our websites. So as an example about accessibility, because we're not talking only about disabilities, but also we are talking about our product or what we are building, the tool, the platform, is this. So we have a room and this is a door. I already know that I need to, in order to enter the room, I will go to that knob and just turn it, and then I will open the door. So we know for humans, that will work out of the box. I don't have to give instructions or something, so that's the user experience. And the accessibility, we can see it targets humans, so we succeed our goal. We can do that. If it's a pet, like a dog or a cat, it will not have access to that. So if we wanted to, we just failed with our accessibility test, let's say. Aliens, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, aliens, you never know. So maybe some other people that you don't target or some other sort of users might be able to use it. So that's about what's about web accessibility. So it's about the disabilities that we have as humans to access the web. It could be like auditory. Somebody cannot hear. So if you provide an audio context, you probably have to do something about that. Cognitive, maybe something to give in a sort of a different explanation or a different way to give to your notifications something around your platform to make somebody understand that needs to do something. Neurological would be similar to physical, so maybe somebody doesn't really have access by hand to the keyboard or stuff like that, like physical access to your platform. Speech, in case you expect the user to talk to the platform, like to use a microphone and stuff. So you need to be aware that somebody will not have that disability, and you need to provide a different access point. Visual, some other people are using the special keyboard. Missing the word right now. So they cannot actually see the context that you provide. It could be an image, so you have to provide the alt text, alternative text, really, really comprehensive, so that will be read out loud to them. And that's the key point that we are also ignoring sometimes, the temporary disabilities, like the disabilities, the people that don't have a disability, but actually on the moment, they're unable to access your content. It could be somebody using the phone or a smartwatch. So you need to provide some sort of a different access point to your platform, to your application, through a different tool maybe. It could be someone older that, due to age, doesn't have the same experience that you expect them to have. It could be a temporary disability, like I just broke my arm, so just for a few weeks, months, I will not be able to use that. So I should be able to do something else. Let's say it's the right hand, you cannot use the mouse. If you use the tabs, so in your web platform, you should be able to index properly the tab index, so that it will be easy for them to access it only with a keyboard. And then some situation limitations. So let's say it's a super bright environment, they cannot look at the screen at the moment. If we give them a few buttons or the tab or something on the phone, or maybe one tap option to navigate somewhere else, or speech to actually give a command to our platform. Or at the moment, maybe they are not able to listen to the audio, so it should have some sort of a text to read. And then another one is the slow internet. The environment that they are running at the moment, like maybe a 3G connection that's breaking or something like that. We need to consider that also, so we can provide them an alternative, something that will not require much bandwidth to give them the same experience, or to give them at least the message we want to give them through our platform. Let's say we want to have a quick catch-up of a conversation from a service that's provided through that platform, and you need to find your laptop, you're just on the couch, and it's like, I need to remember something, or I need to pick up that conversation. I need to find that website that I used to chat with that agent, and what was the name. I need to search through my emails to remember that company probably. Let's do that. The password, login. Okay, it's getting a bit stressful. For just a simple reminder, like something I just wanted to see in that conversation. Where's that password? Probably not on a post-it. And then you just lose that user in the end. So it's so simple, because it's just a moment and then they will just forget about it, or they missed something. So an example here. Probably you haven't seen that kind of planes. Let's say we have this duck company for air flight tickets. So we want to have this special flight. So we went to their platform to book. We went to their platform to book the tickets. So their platform is really, really well made, and they have amazing tools like Stitch. So they maintain context, and I can actually send a text message to the conversation I had. So the whole thing that this tool is giving to their platform is, with one conversation, they maintain that context. So I can talk to their agent to book the tickets or any information I wanted to chat about my travel. It would be everything the chat offers, plus some PSTN calls. Maybe I just dialed in, or I received a call on my browser, like stuff like that. They did amazing work. But right now, I'm in that situation. I really cannot use my hands, and that's a borrowed kid, it's not mine. So let's say the flight agency must have replied by now. I need to get just one message. But, hey, daddy, let's have the ice cream you promised. So if I don't do it within 5 minutes, I would just forget it for a while, and then the message, maybe it's too late. So that platform, it was really, really well made for accessibility, because they provided everything, area roles, anything the web provides for accessibility, but they missed this case, like, how can I? So maybe it's not really accessible as we thought it was. So that's where this came. The integration with Google Assistant is the thing that I thought it would be very, very interesting to include. Even if you search for accessibility on that, it will not trigger your mind to start including a voice agent, an agent like Google Assistant that everybody has at home, and they just play right now with, hey, let's play a game. Hey, Google, what's the weather? What if we take one extra step to accessibility aspect, to give more accessibility to our platforms or our things we are working on? So using Google Agent, it's another SDK, let's say another library, where you can provide every user with their own Google account. They just log in, and they can very, very simply command that bot or agent to actually have access to your platform and give you that information. And integration, as we are going to see later also with a demo, it's very, 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 very simple. So getting every benefit from the Google Assistant, we can have from the conversation flow. So it can have a specific logic that we don't give much effort to build because it's there in the SDK of Google Assistant. So even if you want to include weather information, the Google Assistant just gives that to you by default. You just say, in case the user asks for weather, do what you know to do as Google. I don't want to care about that. But I will provide it because it's just, I'm using Google Assistant. So we can implement those actions. So with Google Assistant, there is a whole dashboard that you can use to make actions like commands, let's say. So if the user says, hey, Google, talk to Miss Duck, let's say, which is the agency. And then another agent comes up, like instead of the default voice from Google Assistant, then you will get another voice, which is that agent that that company has. And an action would be log me in. So you're now logged in their platform. Read me a message, read me my latest message. And then that agent, that assistant, will just read it to you. So the action is the command that said, read me that message. So the whole thing that we can use with Google Assistant also provide, actually, one extra thing that we are getting is this recognition of the voice, because you might think like, okay, Web API provides me a speech recognition, but that you will have to build on your own. You will have to understand if that word sounded like that, maybe the user meant this. All that thing and the training for that is actually given to you by Google Assistant. So you just implement that. So we have this case now that I want to ask Miss Duck. So I'm going to Hey Google and say, talk to Miss Duck. That's just, you don't have to do absolutely nothing else. You just have that in your Google Assistant. Then the Miss Duck will just respond like, hey, so you know it's successful. This is another accessibility point actually. And it was recently I discovered while making these slides that an accessibility to the Google agent as the means of how do I know that I actually triggered my Google Assistant, because Google removed that dong, that sound that's supposed to play when you were accessing it. So you would say, hey Google, and in latest versions, you will not hear anything. You just waited for your next command. If you go to accessibility options in the Google Assistant, you can enable that, and then it will give you that feedback. That's an accessibility thing that helps to understand that now you can continue something else, because maybe the Google Assistant doesn't have a light or something else to indicate that. So talk to Miss Duck. That's how you trigger that agent from Google Assistant. Then with a different voice, Google will tell you that now you're talking with Miss Duck and says, hello, read my new messages. So you just say it out loud, and then it's up to the dialog flow to understand what was the intent, what you wanted to get from there, and that will give you the agent send, all your documents are ready for your trip. So that's simple. It went to that conversation, went through the events list, grabbed the latest message that was unread, and read it out loud for you. It's a text message. It's just what you give to the SDK, like you can say, as a response, say that, and it's here. So we can understand how easily it is. Instead of for that guy to wait until gets the ice cream, make everybody happy, and then grab the phone, remember the password, find that platform, log in, and get that. Or even if that, because that platform was perfectly built for accessibility, maybe he got an SMS, but still you have to access that tool. But for Google, you just had already your headphone, or it's just there, you talk to it. So the thing that I would like to continue as a second part, it's a little bit more technical, and we're going to see how easy it is to set it up. So no matter what platform you have regarding conversation or any sort of communication, it's going to be just a few libraries, like 2 libraries, and then a few lines of code to actually make it happen. And everybody can do it, even if it's super junior or senior. So the first thing is that we are going to see is to set up the Stitch on Node.js server. So it's like the backend or the very bare minimum of the conversation platform that they have on their website. So this is the conversation side of it. Then we are going to set up the actions on Google, which is the SDK equivalent for Google, which gives you this access to your agent, the agent that you build in your Google dashboard. Expose the local server, just one little thing to do. Instead of deploying it on a live production place or a live somewhere to access it from outside, we are going to expose our internal from the laptop, and then Google will be able to grab that and send us events from the agent. And then we will see to run, actually that doesn't sound very good. We are going to do a test run. We don't have tests. And we're going to also set up the debugging, which allows you to see the variables, whatever comes to your endpoint, you're going to be able to debug it. That means it's not only what you understand from the documentation that they provide, because it's very, very early stages right now. They just went to version 2. And sometimes you just find some more useful information in there. You will be able to debug also what happens with the intent, like when the user tries to say something. Let's say login Kostas. So let's say you want to log in a specific user. You want to grab that variable, the name, and use that to get your token or to do something with that. So you can have actually many users with the same agent. So it's time for a demo. So right now you're watching this screen. So the very basics on what we're doing. Here we see the dialog flow is actually what Google gives us. I'll show you a few of the options here. With the dialog flow is actually the dashboard. It's where you define how you communicate from the Google agent that you built. It's all the logic here. You can specify the intent. So here we have some sample of them. So if the user says login, let's have a look at that intent. So you see there's the context there. You can play with context. You can play with some keywords that training phrases, it's called. It's like when you want to say something to the agent, you don't have to say per se the specific word, but maybe you will mean it with different words, like synonyms. So there's a training phase, and you can help it out from here. So imagine all that stuff. It would be very, very difficult if you wanted to provide from your own platform through the web API, like a speech recognition thing. And also you can use these as default responses. So when the user says login, here is the keyword. And then you can specify from the dialog flow, if you want to build something like jokes, saying jokes or something, you can set 5 things as a response, and then it will just reply with that. What we are going to do is we are going to enable the webhook. As you see in this is the fulfillment, like how this will end. It actually gets what the user said, and will send it to a webhook. So we're going to enable that webhook to get it in our laptop from the agent. This comes in the fulfillments option in the dashboard here. and we give the webhook URL. So we are going to generate one using ngrok. So this tool is just to give you a random URL that you can use here. Save. So right now, I have already created that agent. It's called duck talk. And I gave that ngrok URL over there. It means that every event that the bot is going to receive is going to be forwarded to that URL. We can then test the intents that we have built. I have those, for example, here, 3 of them. And it gives us this environment on the right side where you can actually trigger one of them. Actually, I can say login. And I can see here what happened. The intent that understood, it was the login intent. That was the one that was triggered. The action over here is the other important part. I'm not going to analyze the whole platform, the whole dashboard, but just the key points we need for the integration. So the action is action login. And if we see here, something happened. Somebody reached to our path. It's not a service yet. So I will do it again, say login. And we see that somebody did a post and got a bad gateway. So right now, on the other side, I have this service. It's a node service, npm start. It's already made to spin up a server and listen to port. It should be 8,000 over here. It's quite small. Okay. So right now, ngrok is responsible to transfer everything that's coming to that public URL that it gave to me. It will be transferred to localhost in here, port 8000. So if I try again the login, I should be able to see the action login triggered something in my backend. So actually, I have already made this to generate an access token for that communication platform, grab that token, and perform the login action. So let's go one step further in. And we see here that it created a conversation. How did that magic happen? So I'm going to stop this server now, and let's see inside how it worked. So from here, everybody has worked with Node.js service side, right? I mean, yeah, see a lot of nodding. Okay, that's good. So the very, very easy setup here, just getting a few libraries with Express. We have another, the next file, the duck file, is just here, imported. We just spin up the server at port 8000. So what the duck does, it gets from a config file all the things that we need from the Nexmo platform to generate the tokens. So we have these extra tools. The nexmo-stitch is the main library, and the Nexmo for Node.js. So we just provide our authentication stuff as owners of the application that we build. And we give that to the Nexmo library, and then it builds a conversation client. So that's the main chat that the agent has in the duck. Like our website is integrated with this chat. So the JWT is the authentication token that we require. So I'm going to ask that library, the Nexmo library, to create an authentication token for me. And then this is the login. This is what I used. app.intent login. So that's the command that came in that when we saw here 2 times it failed. And it actually reached this one. So I'm going to enable now the debug. So we can see that the first thing that it happens, it just generated a token and it printed out for me. I'm going to use it later. And now it's waiting for all these intents. We have the intent for login, stitch welcome, and there's an exercise to build the next one. So right now, this environment over here is just to test out the intent that you're building. But let's go and see something more alive, the actual agent. So it just did an update actions on Google. It means that it deployed internally the things that I was working on, the intents, to an actual agent. So now, if I use my Google Assistant at home, I still have access to this one. It's similar to using the actual assistant under my account. By default, because I'm logged in the dashboard with my Google account, every agent that I have, or however I have access to that agent, I can trigger that. So if I had a Google Assistant or from my phone to use a Google Assistant, I will be able to have the same experience as the one here. So right now, I will zoom in. Maybe I should do that. We see that it just suggests me to use this. This is how I selected that phrase as a trigger entry point from the dashboard before. I set it up beforehand. So when I do talk to Miss Duck.
All right, getting the test version of Miss Duck. Hello.
So you notice the difference of the voices and the beep in the middle. So actually it was Google Assistant brought to me the the Miss Duck. So Duck said hello. I can say whatever.
I missed that.
That's a default response. And it wasn't a good idea. Okay. So in the list of the items that I have over here, I have absolutely nothing regarding the, this is an action login. I don't have the one that I said whatever. I can try that here. It wasn't planned actually, but okay, should be fine. Intent name, whatever. I gave that name, and I can say here, as a response, text response, okay, you did it. So right now I created a new intent. It was that simple. It's here, and I don't know why the rest are missing. And I should be able to trigger this intent from the test environment. The fulfillment is used to route that to the SDK, to our server. So right now I'm just using only the dashboard side, because you can set up a whole conversation, everything all the interaction just there. And then the next step is to trigger that to go to our service. So using the dialog flow, you can build everything a default agent can do. Like you can play with the weather, ask for the weather information, and all that kind of stuff. And then we will come to this to get the fulfillment. So I think, okay. So this one, every time you update the intent, you need to actually trigger the Google Assistant from here, and then it's doing again this thing to update the actions on Google, which takes all that and builds like a deployment phase. Probably I can talk to Miss Duck.
Sure, here's the test version of Miss Duck. Hi. Okay, you did it.
So I triggered that intent and wrote the default one that I put in the dialog flow. So one point that you can actually make things better, easier, and you don't need a developer for that, is this. Then let's take the next step. And I want that to not be the end of the conversation. Here's the fulfillment. Enable webhook. So right now, I save this. I'll try to test it from here, so it doesn't need to go through the deployment thing, whatever. Actually, not intent, whatever. So right now, I should be getting something here. It wasn't. Let's make the screen smaller. Let's go for a quick test. Okay. Yeah, the 200 OK was there, but I didn't print out anything. So the first time I typed in whatever, now we got internal server error and exception thrown. So we have to follow, of course, a flow to grab what the intent gives us and then complete the promise and give back to the flow something, so something explodes that because I triggered it twice without getting back the response. But we can see the communication between the webhook that we just set up. So I'm gonna run it now with the ones that I built already, and we can see the actions happening. So there is this environment over here. We're gonna log in with a token. So right now, I have another backend environment that is using the same SDK, the same conversation, the same application. So if I get this token, which is the access token that Miss Duck just used, over here, I should be able to log into the same platform and see everything that is going on. So now I have these two conversations. I will delete them to make sure that we have something fresh. So 0 conversations, everything is here, and I want to tell to Miss Duck Ducky, okay? I will use the Google Assistant, and let's follow from here the intents. We have the login intent, the one that we triggered a couple of times. So the action login is here, is the action parameters, what we are going to get in our script. We have this in debugging mode, and we are going to set a break. Before setting the breakpoint, we're going to see it working. So right now we have 0 conversations, and we're going to talk to Miss Duck.
Sure, here's the test version of Miss Duck. Hello. Logged in as Kostas. Welcome to the conversation Stitch Duck.
So we just saw on the back it was moving in the meantime. So it created Stitch Duck conversation, Ducky, that user, set as Kostas, that's hard-coded. And we have now access to that conversation, and everything can continue from the other end. So we can have a proper chat or trigger more commands over there. So that's how everything happened. We heard that it says logged in as Kostas. So actually, it's that simple. You just say conversation, which is the conversation is in the application of Google app, the Google Assistant. And we just said that. And then we triggered the new conversation, and we just printed out welcome and the name of that conversation. So a way to debug all that or to see all these happening, we can trigger that again. It's fine here. Right, we can say login again, or 1 second. I think I have another one, Stitch welcome. I'm going to use that one for debug.
Welcome Kostas, new user is ready.
So that one triggered this one, send text hi. New user is ready. No, actually went to the welcome. Because there is another intent for that. Yep. Stitch welcome should trigger that one. Um, or not. Yeah, we need to update the whole intent. So it triggered just the welcome one. It was the one at the beginning. Maybe it missed. Now we don't have now the conversation context. I will try once quickly, or we continue with the exercise. This or the login. Okay, we got it from the login. So you can put a breakpoint once you have any tool you're using for debugging node service, and this will give you the whole context of what is happening in the conversation from Miss Doug. So this one is from the dialog flow, and at the same time, of course, you have the this is one dialog flow, and stitch up is the same, the one that you have from your conversation platform. So from this point on, you just see in very, very simple steps in debugging mode, you can actually get any context that it gives you from the Google Assistant, from the user actually that came there, and then you pass that on to your application to trigger any command and anything you want. That's pretty much it. And so what we did, it was like create a conversation, we can send text messages, and one step to take it further, it would be, you can find this actually on GitHub. Right now I have the first version of that SDK that Google gave. You can find the second version, and you can use that to create a conversation, maybe invite a second user if you create a second Stitch user, and then you can talk from your Google Assistant. You can join the conversation with the other user and actually send a text message to the Google Assistant and read it out loud. So it's a very, very easy exercise to practice with, and you can find me online and everywhere. So you can just ping me, I can help you out to it, or integrate the voice commands to your platform, whatever you're building. And that's all. Thank you very much.